Hello, here we go again. A bit of burning with a new pyrography unit that I'm contemplating purchasing. It's a more powerful unit, holds its heat longer, can do deeper branding and texturing with it. So I'm going to use it on a little piece of almost successful laser burning. Oh well, I'm sure this will improve it. So here's a bit of wood that's being subjected to this wonderfully creative process. A little piece of sycamore, about 6 inches by 2 inches, mounted between centres just to get it a little bit trued up and get a mounting point on it ready for a chuck. But while I'm getting that mounting point prepared, I'm using the opportunity to turn a little bit of the bottom as well. You can see I'm going for a wide rim with a small bowl underneath it. Little sort of wobble saucer bowl. So there's a little foot on there. I can take the centres out now and put it in the chuck and turn some of the face away and get another mounting point on this side so that I can finish off the bottom. So a little push cut across the face with my 3/8 bowl gouge. You can see a little tenon forming there. And just crisping up the edges with a little skew chisel, and then a little bit of shaping. So getting that wide rim established. And if you notice the hesitation in my voice, it's because I think, have I got 2 bits of footage mixed up here? Well, anyway, you can see what I'm doing. You can see the shape emerging. Cleaning up that edge and establishing the final width of it. There we go. Got through to the other side, nearly round. And now it's a case of shaping the bowl part and thinning down the rim. I wanted a thin rim, something nice and light and fragile feeling. So that's what you can see me creating there. The tricky part is that transition from the bowl into the rim, so take a little bit of care there. You can see here I'm bringing the gouge up with the bevel riding along the side of the bowl and then pulling into the wing to pull out that rim. There we go, freshly sharpened gouge, cuts much better than the blue one, which was a little bit getting a little bit blunt. And then nice, slow, let the wood come to the tool, as they say. A little bit of sanding, although that will need to be returned because I'll need to shape the bottom into a nice dome. So now I'm establishing the final rim thickness. And when you're working on a thin rimmed piece, it's best to establish it in stages rather than trying to do it all at once. So that outside inch or so is getting thicknessed, and then I can start moving further in to the centre and blending those surfaces together. You can see there's a little bit of a ridge there, still not there. Getting closer now. I'm putting a little bit of a slope onto that rim so it leads the eye into the bowl opening, which will be appearing shortly. Here we go. So little scooping cuts to begin with. It's a very small opening, quite shallow compared to the final size of the bowl. But the important thing for me on this one is that it's a continuous curve all the way to the bottom. And then final establishing of the rim. Nice little crisp edge put on there with the skew chisel. Just got a little raised area around the rim just to give it a little bit more definition. And then finally finishing off the inside. Nice slow cut. Nice and slow up to that little dimple. And some sanding. You can see the dust being sucked away nicely in my extractor hose. And on come the massive wood jaws so that I can return the bottom. I see I had a nice recess, almost exactly the right size, so I used that one. And so now it's a case of turning that flat bottom into a nice round bottom for the bowl to sit on and to wobble on. So again, back to the bowl gouge for this. Nice slow feed, and I'm trying to blend this curve in with the existing curve. The depth of the wood jaws made it quite hard to turn all the way up to that meeting point, so I had to take a little bit of care with that, and then final blending can be done with a little bit of sanding when I get to that, but just need to shape the little bottom part of it here and very carefully shear scraping around that side. You want to watch out doing that you don't get the gouge kicking back against you. And final blending of surfaces together with a bit of sanding. And here's the pattern that is being burnt on it. I haven't shown you all of this, just a little bit so you can see roughly what I'm trying to achieve. I managed to take it out from the engraver before I'd actually started cutting the holes, so I've forgotten I had to do that. They haven't come out. I could put it back in and get them to do it again, but I didn't get it lined up exactly in the right place. But it's salvageable. Unfortunately, I set it far too high to begin with, and I've burnt right through the edges there. But again, that's something that I can save because I can make that look deliberate and burn through a few more of the edges. Getting to grips with this machine. I'm very pleased with how well I got it centered this time. Yeah, that's about the best that can be said for it. It still took me an inordinately long time to work out how to do that on a computer, to draw that. I probably need to do some online learning, as if I can be bothered. Well, let's do the real work now, shall we? A bit of handwork coming up. So this is the unit that I'm using from Woodart Products, and I'll put a link to it in the description. It's their Red Scorpion. It comes with a nice page of instructions, with this lovely warning that apparently it's powerful enough to melt nichrome wire. Whoop whoop. Right, let's get the extractor on and let's get playing. So what we've got here, as you can see, actually when I put it in the laser engraver, it burnt I had the setting on too high, it burnt too much of that away. But I can repeat this burnt edge in a few other places to make it look part of the design, which in fact is not dissimilar to one of my sort of practice pieces. I really quite like these missing bits. Right, here we go. Let's see, I think this might be a good one to try to burn away. Really good. Now, what I will need to be careful about is this piece here, as it's so isolated. And I can work something in that part. Around here, let's have a go at removing some of this. So where those little holes didn't burn all the way through, I'm just prodding them through with the burning tip. It's a very nice thick tip that we'll see on the back being used to great effect, I hope. You can see just nibbling away at the edges here, it's got no problem at all just removing that wood. I think it's probably an 18 gauge wire, this one, which is a lot thicker than you can take with some other pyrography machines. So a little bit more piercing just to add a bit more interest to the surface, and onto the back now with the branding. Now it's probably hard on the video to see how deep that goes, but if you can see, this is in real time. The tip speed recovery is almost instantaneous, and that's burning a good millimetre or so deep. Yeah, I think I'm convinced this is probably the next tool I definitely need to buy. So nearly finished with the bowl part, and then on to the outside, and radial lines continuing all the way around and just filling in all those spaces. It took a little bit of time, but I do quite like the meditative quality of working at just covering a small part of the wood at a time. Just putting some burn on the edges so we don't see the bare wood there. And then the laser leaves a mildly textured surface with almost no interest to it. And so a little bit of stippling in there. And again, the tool worked very well, very fast and quick, without any appreciable loss of heat. But you can see it burns so well. I had some scorch marks that came all the way through, so I hadn't intended to burn the inside, but it needed to be done. Right, so if you want to know how long it took to burn all of this, 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's how long the video cameras have been running for, and it doesn't look very much at the moment. I'm particularly pleased with the patterning on the inside. That looks more organic in a way, just as I just kept rotating it as I was doing it. On the back, I've gone to something a little bit more radial, which is always going to be a little bit harder to continue onto a curved surface. But I'm looking forward to getting some colour on there, seeing how that affects it, and a little bit of space to write "what a load of rubbish" or sign it. The top has got a little bit grubby, but I'll clean that up. A little light sanding and get some colour on there. Really impressed with the speed of heat recovery on that tip. Yeah, I think it was a sale or return, and I think it's a sale. Right, let's go on and get the next bit done. So before the colour goes on, just define a few little areas with the circle branding tool, just to try it out in the new pen, and it really does work fantastically compared to the other pen that I've been using. This ball tip as well just burns as soon as you touch it to the wood, and you can do work at a much greater speed, which, you know, isn't always necessary, but sometimes it's fun. Bit of colour now, using stains, just putting some yellow stain on here to give it a little bit of a sort of golden sheen in the bottom of that texture. One of the things I noticed about that tip was that the higher the setting, it didn't seem to burn all of the wood right in the centre, and so it left a little bit of bare wood, which was quite nice. Spirit stains going on now, doing it with a paintbrush, a few colours. I used yellow, blue and royal blue, a bit of dabbing and splodging around, and then a little bit of burning some little dot paths into the colour, just to add a little bit more movement and interest. I've done a few videos of this, so I haven't included a huge amount. And then centre of those dots, I wanted some of them to be a little bolder and brighter, and at one point I painted them with some red, but I thought that actually made it look, gasp, a little bit too busy, and a bit like it had got measles. So dulling those down with a bit of blue, and they work better a little muted, I think. And there we go, bit of sanding sealer going on, and then I'll finish it with some gloss lacquer. Right, yes, all done, all finished, and I'm really pleased with this little play session, really. I like the overall look at the end. Still images giving you a bit of a closer look at it all. The only thing, a little niggle for me, is I left that blue. I didn't put any yellow on it and made it green. I mean, there were little touches of blue left here, but I think that jumps out as being a little bit odd looking. Am I my own worst critic? Probably not. There's probably someone sitting there saying, shouldn't have put any colour on it. I shouldn't have burnt it. I shouldn't have made it look like it's rotting and rusting away. It's my wood. And on that note, thanks very much for watching.